Welcome, everybody. We're here with Liz Cross on another fabulous morning here, and we've got a fabulous probe for you as well. Something, I guess it's kind of half listener requested, half Liz requested, so that's a twist. And how you doing this morning, Liz?
Good. I don't actually remember requesting this. I'm so sorry.
Oh, we were doing a CTT session a couple of weeks ago now, and someone in the chat mentioned, or maybe it was you, doing a Biofield probe. And
the Biofield. Yes. Okay.
So that's also right up my alley. We may attack it from different angles. So if you have any questions, feel free, pop in there with whatever questions that pop up for you too. So this will be maybe a joint probe in a way.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we're going to bring in two individuals that are passed on for our panel today. The first we know already, it's Mei Wen Ho. Her picture is up on the screen if you can see that.
I can. Yeah, I have her here.
And she was an established scientist here on the Earth plane, and she has it's a very technical book, so I don't think a lot of people would probably want to slog through it. However, she studied all the big names in the modern biofield science of the last 100 years. So I think she'll be an excellent person to draw in. So how's she doing today?
Excellent. Actually, she's so happy that you have requested her presence.
Yes, I'm honored by her presence. So next up, we have Simon Curlian. And he is famous. I think actually him and his wife are famous for creating Curlian photography, which, if you guys don't know, is where they actually can claim to see the aura through photography. So you have him here as well?
Yes, they're both here together, and they're both holding hands. They're excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that she studied his work. I'm sure of it. So Curlian photography, I'll show some examples of it here. You can see in the bottom right corner, there's a leaf there. Or no, it's a banana.
Oh.
And you can see kind of like the energy around the banana. Like, this is probably a fresher banana. So it's usually like if it's just right picked, it's going to be brighter. And there's a picture of some footprints. So can we ask Simon, now that he's passed on, there's been controversy, obviously, over his work. There always is, right? Is it what he thought it was? Is this like what we would call the aura or chi energy around living things that he photographed?
The photographs that you did, can you confirm whether this is the aura? Yes, it is.
Okay. So can we ask him what exactly he would define the aura as?
What would you define the aura as? It's he says radiating, but what are we radiating? Is it vibrations? It's like a mixture of vibration, frequency, emotions, approachability, all of those things. It's a big mixture of things.
So would he say that it's information that's coming off of the living thing?
Exactly.
So, like, for an example, this banana, I can't see the electrical discharge with my naked eyes. However, I'm sure I have things in my body that I can sense that it is a very fresh banana that is going to give me more nutrients because it was just picked, for instance. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. That's how we communicate.
Okay, and then so let's take that. Actually, I didn't want to go this deep this quickly, but this is how we're going. So for another human being, as an example, if I am in the aura, how about this? How far away can I sense someone's aura? This Curlian aura.
It's a few feet.
It's a few feet. So like when you're in somebody's bubble, like get out of my space kind of deal. That's a real thing in terms of the aura.
Yes, that is a real that like that's one of my things. Like I don't like people in my personal space. Like that really I feel like I'm being suffocated. Unless it's a loved one or a friend. Uh,
Sure.
but it's actually a few feet away. He's saying about 15 feet, 15 to
Ooh,
30 feet. So if
there.
somebody's in the room with you, you can also, as long as you're in there for a significant amount of time. And he's also saying, and if it's an enclosed space, so that the energy isn't really escaping out of the room, he's saying that then you start to, as a collective, if there's like a classroom environment, the mixture, all of these start mixing, and you can actually assess someone's aura by them sitting even far away from you.
And okay, I have a couple questions from that. So obviously then materials block the energy. So like if I'm in a concrete room, for instance, that would be keeping the energy inside the room, I'm assuming.
If we're in a concrete room with it. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then my other question is so when I'm sensing someone's aura, like unconsciously, I'm sure that there's people that are very in tune energetically more than I am, like yourself and others, that have developed that skill to be more sensitive to it. But what is for the average person, what is the mechanism of me unconsciously reading someone else's aura? Is that maybe through the mitochondria or some other sense that we don't have consciously?
When we're reading the auras, is that through the mitochondria? No. What is that through? It's through the chakras.
Okay, interesting. Okay, and is there any like so we do have light absorbing materials on our body. Um, some of them are chromophores, some of them are like proteins, some of them are actual light detectors that sense specific frequencies of light. And are these like photoreceptors, they're called? That's the word I'm looking for. Are these photoreceptors also picking up the information from the aura?
Are these photoreceptors also picking up the? Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we've got two different mechanisms here. We have the photoreceptors and we have the chakra system.
Well, the
Um,
photoreceptors are actually sending the information to the chakras. Most
oh, what?
importantly, the solar plexus.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. So that gets me on like, oh, I gotta think about that one after this. I have a whole nother probe on that one. Okay, okay, so this is the question that's been plaguing me for a while, and I heard this. This is not my theory, and I can't remember who to quote. Who someone that I study, but they're saying that the light frequencies that are coming off of people, okay, they can tell your body can tell when someone else is sick through this aura, if you will. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, especially like impeded mentally. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's where I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking more like, a common cold or something like that. Now, if I
Yes,
were,
but sorry, it's also sensing danger.
mm, yeah, just like, with the banana example, it's like, that's good for me. And then with this, it's like, okay, I want to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So is it okay? Here's the thing. If I'm in the presence of someone who is ill, and I was thinking more of like the cold, example or something like that. Am am I getting the information from the sick person, which can also make me sick energetically, like in terms of, I mean, I could catch the cold energetically without ever, breathing in, microbes or bacteria or anything like that.
Can we catch the colds energetically? Yes, but what we actually catch is their immuno response. So their immunity is down. Therefore, that bleeds into our biofield. Our immunity becomes lowered. it's sort of a collective information superhighway, right?
Yes.
uh, we absorb what others are around us. So our immunity, our defenses are down because we think, oh, well, it must be okay because their defenses are down. So we don't have to be on high alert with our immune system. And therefore that sort of spreads, that makes it easily spread to us. So at that point, our immune system is down.
That's interesting because that's kind of like from the point of view of the immune system, I feel like that's counterproductive. I feel like the job of the immune system would be to detect that's a threat and then maybe upregulate the immune system. So is there something like going on here where the whatever it is, the sickness is then tricking our immune system to lower, and that's how transmission happens?
Ooh, are you, that is the yes, that's exactly right. So if your immune system has holes in it or vulnerabilities, it knows that the illness knows that it has a better chance of survival in that host.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
pretty cool that I got to that point, I think.
Yeah. You always have great questions, I must admit.
So okay, so making yourself more resilient, right, energetically, right, making your aura stronger and the electro, we are electrical beings, as we're going to find out more into this probe. That's just my personal philosophy into this. This is actually hopefully going to confirm all the things that I teach, and so far we're on the right track. If we're more energetically resilient, like our system is like we have more energy in the system, then we are. I'm gonna assume that that's how you become more resilient to this thing we just found out, where you're less being able to be fooled by the information coming from the sick person. I know that's a mouthful.
Okay. Let's break that one down in simplistic terms.
Okay, so so if I've made my body very resilient through increasing the energy systems of my body, I'm less likely to fall prey to a sick person's bad information.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so that gives me like, okay, that's the path that we want on to the antidote to this. So you want to, without getting into the technical things which we may get, you're really trying to tune up your frequency, which sounds kind of, like airy fairy, but there's actually science to back all this up, as we're seeing now. And I practice a lot of those things. And I did it even just this morning by, grounding myself at the ocean and getting, morning sunlight. And I don't get sick, really. It really takes a lot. If I get sick, there's something really bad going around generally. So I want to move over to the next generation of this research, and that is a man called Konstantin Korotkov, and he's still living, but I guess our panel can tune into what he's doing, and so he's based his research off of Kirlian, the Kirlian photography, and he's actually created a device which hooks up to your computer, and you can see here you put your finger in this little box. And what it does is it actually measures biophotons or electromagnetic radiation that's coming off the surface of your finger, and it's amplifying that signal so that it can make like a visual representation of that and on the computer software to see how much of a charge that you have, how strong is your aura, not in the airy fairy type of way, but like in an actual physical, like how much photons do you have, how much electrons do you have available in the system. So what is the panel's opinion of this diagnostic device?
What is your opinion? So I'm getting conflicting opinions. She's saying no, and he's giving a thumbs up.
Interesting. Can we get why the thumbs up from Matt May Wan Ho?
Well, she's saying no. Why are you
Oh,
saying no?
okay.
She doesn't believe it's accurate information. Why? She says there's better devices out there for testing this stuff. Now, he believes it is accurate. or it's quite close in accuracy. Now, what is coming through very strongly is if you are ill or if you are sick, your biofield is not extending itself as much as it normally does. And that's because your body's naturally trying to conserve energy and use that energy to fight the illness.
Interesting. Okay, another conflicting point. I think that makes sense to me, like logically, what you just said there. However, there is another phenomena that has been observed at the cellular level. So we should look at so the next person then that I wanted to look at. Where is he? No, that's not him. No, no, no. Yes. Fritz Albert Pop, he's still with us, but I wonder if the panel can look into his work. What he's found is at the cellular level, we are emitting extremely low UV light. So UV as in like the light that's coming from the sun, but it's so faint you cannot see it. And it's almost very coherent, meaning like it's like a laser, it's very focused. And he's developed a way to actually detect it with these extremely sensitive cameras. And one of the things that I believe he found is that when the cell is stressed out, it actually is leaking more light from the chemical processes that are going on there. So it's kind of like, when someone's sick, maybe they're actually releasing more of this extremely low UV light. So is that different than what we've been looking at?
The UV light cells different from them. Very different.
Okay. So we have to separate this then. Okay, so let's go back to just the device that we were. My screen just crashed. Can you still see my screen? Never mind.
Yeah, we can see you. Sorry.
I just crashed there. So this device is not really super, it's on the right path, but it's not super accurate all the time. So it's not giving you, doesn't have the accuracy. So there's better ways. I know you're bad with pulling like random names out of there, but maybe could you ask and maybe I could get a clue, something that I already know? What do they think is a better method, or is there something else as a better diagnostic tool?
It's a better method. Actually, she believes that the photographs are a much more accurate diagnostic tool than putting your finger in that device.
Okay.
And he believes that as well. So they do agree upon that.
Okay. So, and given that, and so as far as I know, how it works is you put the object down on some sort of surface that is then electrified in some way. And that's what allows this to be photographed. How can you practically do that for a human being? I mean, it's easy to do it for a banana because you just set it down on there. Is it practically being done already on like humans as a diagnostic device?
No, not yet, but that's something that's coming in the future. You'll be able to lay on top of a panel, and due to the colors or the energy that's emitting, you can start to find like cancerous tumors, blockages, things like that in the body. It's going to be much easier and much safer than MRIs and CT scans.
Oh yeah, because you're just getting tons of radiation from those things. Okay, so it doesn't exist now. All right, so in the meantime, is there any way like, the average person or someone like myself could do a test that doesn't require like a lot of technology, or it's very simple and basic to kind of test the electrical potential of the body?
Tuning forks are very effective as well.
Perfect, because that's the next place I was going to go with this probe. Perfect.
Oh, I don't know a lot about tuning forks, but I had a lady out of Australia once who turned up in a Zoom room I was in, and she just sort of started hitting her forks and like tuning into all of the people in the room, and like she was diagnosing us, and I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I found the whole thing interesting.
So I've actually had some work done. Okay, I've been to a few sound baths, which is where it's like a room and they bring in all these different instruments or things that are, are sound healing, and you just kind of bathe in the frequencies. But I've also had a practitioner who studied under this woman on the screen. Her name is Eileen McCusick, and she has a specific system that she's developed herself using tuning forks. And forgive me if I don't explain this 100%, but I'm going to try my best. There is what she talks about is there's an actual field that sits around us that I believe might be magnetic in nature to some degree. It's also made up of probably photonic energy as well. And she's able to take her tuning forks and actually comb through that field. So she'll like ding it, right? It'll resonate, and she combs it through your field like at different distances away from your body. I think it actually correlates with maybe even years in this lifetime, if I'm not mistaken. And she finds when she gets to a certain point, it'll start really vibrating. And that's where she knows there's something there. Could be a blockage, could be trapped emotions, could be trauma, could be whatever, right? And her method that she does is she actually literally physically combs that energy field with the tuning fork to then smooth out that energy and hopefully release it in some way. So can you get the panel to view into her method or the way that she's working and see if that's an effective way of using the tuning forks?
It's a very good diagnostic tool. However, it's not great at healing.
And that was, yeah, that's my questions I wanted to ask you as well, because and I don't know this 100% because I don't know the full procedure of what she does. I've had it done to me before, actually years ago, and it was interesting because I could feel the vibration, which was cool. But I don't, she's using it to deal with, trauma and emotions and stuff like that. But I don't know that there's a way to transmute the energy, and fill in the holes of that field. Can you ask the panel if the way she's working, does she have a way to do that in her process?
See, the problem is it has to be an energy exchange, okay? And we've come across this time and time again. Is she able to, with sound, is she able to go in, diagnose where the problems are, and transmute that energy into white light energy? No. Is she able to remove that energy? No.
So what's going on then when she's obviously diagnosing it, and I feel like I felt the vibration. So it's definitely like a diet for sure. I can see how it's diagnostic. But in terms of like the people that she's worked with, she has had a lot of success with people. She's quite popular. Is it a placebo effect more so than when she's actually doing the healing of it? Or is there actually something going? Is it like just like a surface level healing, like you feel better for a little bit?
Is it what's going on? Is it placebo? It's not placebo, but what it is the intention behind her sound vibrations are penetrating the biofield, and it's like trying to get them to heal, but it's very fleeting. You would have to constantly sit in that field and constantly receive those transmissions of intention. So it's like the sound is carrying her intention, right? And
Yeah.
and behind the sound waves or the vibrations, here it's almost like a scalar wave. You can put things on a scalar wave. You can put messages and healing and intentions on a scalar wave. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's very short term. It doesn't make a permanent change. Just telling something you want it to heal is not enough.
Okay. Yeah. In science, they would call that a carrier wave, I believe. So you put information on that wave, and I think you can do it with different things, even other than scalar, perhaps. So, okay. So in sound healing in general, would the panel say that that's what's going on? Like most people are just sending their intention over the carrier wave of whatever singing bowl or tuning fork or whatever thing they're using? That's actually what's going on.
Is that what's going on? Precisely.
Okay. And so it's just you know, it's a temporary kind of medicine. It's not necessarily, there's no long-term effects, but it's almost like symptom management in a way.
Is it symptom management? Yes, but it would have to really be done on a frequent and continuous basis over a very long period of time in order to instill a permanent change. Now, does that mean she's never healed anybody? No. Some things could be so very minor or so desperate to be healed that they adapt with the frequency and the intention and the information that's coming into them. And it's kind of like the alcoholic that doesn't want to be an alcoholic anymore. It's easier for an alcoholic to heal the alcoholism if they realize, hey, I am an alcoholic. I can't live like this anymore. And I have to change, right? As opposed to trying to tell an alcoholic, well, actually, you're an alcoholic. No, I'm not. You're the problem. I'm not the problem. You've got to change. No, I don't have to change. You have to change. I'm not the problem. And you've lost everything. No, I haven't lost anything. You're disposable, so that doesn't matter to me. So it also has to do with that mindset or consciousness of whatever the wave is hitting at that point.
They were ready for it, in other words. Their consciousness was already ready for it. They just needed her to be the, the person to kind of remove the last layer, and then they could, they're really healing themselves almost.
Yes. So they're ready to heal. They just needed something to assist them in that shift. But let's face it, how many people do we actually come across that are like that, right? And then there are some people that with their conscious mind are very ready to heal, but the body's saying no. And the reason the body's saying no is because subconsciously there's either in the contract or there's trapped emotions that are dictating that disease. So you're going to have to dig deeper than just the conscious mind recognition of, I want to heal.
Okay. So you mentioned that if someone would do this on a daily basis, so let's say that I bought a tuning fork or a client of mine bought a tuning fork. It's something that they could do for self-care every day if they wanted to. And that would be, a good thing to assist in whatever, they might be dealing with at the time with the panels. I know they say it's a good diagnostic tool, but also for self-care, is it worth your time to have a tuning fork and, use it once a day?
I mean, yes, it is. But once you've received the diagnosis, then it's like, well, you have to be ready to deal with that diagnosis. The problem is trying to diagnose yourself. That's like me trying to be psychic for myself, right?
Yes. No, you can't do this. The diagnostic part, I'm not suggesting they would do that for themselves, but the therapy part of it, where they would take it home and they would, play with the fork and have it resonate around them.
As long as there's healing intentions behind it, yes.
Yeah. So again, you're sending carrier wave to yourself.
Yeah, but I don't feel it's that effective.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so here's the other thing. So in terms of like sound healing, is it true, can you ask the panel, that field that we're tuning into, it interacts with sound, like phonons, for instance?
So I'm sorry, repeat that for me.
So our biofield, it interacts with sound then, right? With vibration.
Our biofield, does it interact with sound? Yes, it's very sensitive to sound.
Okay, so yes, and I'm going to get to the light part too. But for the sound, since we're on this topic, how about like singing and chanting? Like, is that just as effective as using a tuning fork, or more effective?
Yes, yes, that's very effective.
So again, I'm sure it's intention based as well.
Yes, yes, it is intention based. So if you're listening to sort of dark, destructive, aggressive lyrics, music, that actually alters the biofield to send off aggressive signals, right? Dark signals, destructive signals, angry signals. Um, and it just depends what you want to, give off, really. If you listen to more empowering music or more positive music, that also gives off that positive vibration. But obviously, music can be very healing in many situations. I mean, how many people have gone through breakups, back in the day when there were actually albums? I mean, I could put my hand up and say, yeah, I broke it up and this album got me through it.
Yeah, me too,
Hard
for sure.
time, right? They don't, these kids today, they don't know what they're missing. Anyway, so yes, so it can be very healing, but as a collective, if you're trying to reach a higher state of consciousness, that is a very effective way.
Okay, so that, for the average person, they could start singing or like humming to themselves, and with the intention behind that, that can also have a healing effect on the body, and it's free, is that correct?
Yes.
How about like specific chants, like with frequencies? Like, for instance, I don't know if you're familiar with the 432 hertz frequency, and there's a few of them. Like, these tuning forks are based on it, and they'll give us there's 432, there's 528. These are a lot of these are considered the oh my god, people are going to think less of me for knowing that, because I should know these. I can't remember what it's called, but the okay, where is it on here?
Well, you can't know
Let's say
everything, so.
I do, though. I just don't remember. It's like based on the Gregorian monks had this scale, which the name is eluding me right now. And included in this scale is a specific tuning for the chants that they would do, the Gregorian chants, for instance. And so they would go through these different frequencies. So if you were to use, let's say, just say those Gregorian frequencies, that scale, it's like 528, 7 something, 28. I think, yeah, I thought it would be on here. But if you were to like get, for instance, if you can pull this up on YouTube and you can get those frequencies and then you can hum along with them, how effective is that, as opposed to using like a tuning fork or something?
It's effective at connecting to the spirit world, but as far as like healing, no.
Okay. All right. So it's more of a spiritual practice than it is a self-healing kind of practice, or a self-healing practice. And I'm assuming that, when you do this in a group, it's obviously amplified, the power of this.
Absolutely. Is it ample? Yes, it is. Exponentially so.
Okay. All right. I think what I want to do is I want to do a part 2 to this. So I think we're going to end this one here. So I have a lot more questions, and I want to make sure we get them all in. So we're going to stop this one right here, and we'll have at least a part 2 coming for you here very shortly.
Yes, and just a reminder, if you're not on the Patreon, you are not seeing all the videos. You're missing out on a lot of information. We save everything that the most important information is on the Patreon, patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. Mr. Photon's tip jar is listed down below. If you would like to reach out to Mr. Photon, tell us how we do that, please.
So my email is digitalfreedomtactics@protonmail.com. As you know, I give crypto consults for beginners and more advanced members. And I also am very interested in health and wellness. And I do have a health coaching practice as well, where I deal with things like energy medicine, the things we're talking about today. So if you have any questions about either of those things, feel free to send me off an email.
Great. I know I'm going to send you an email, Mr. Photon.
Yeah, yeah. That I hope that the cold is now starting to leave the house.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Yeah, flu. I don't think it was a cold. I think it was either COVID or the flu. They don't even bother testing for COVID anymore. They're just like, yeah, whatever. All
Yeah,
right. Well, we'll stop this one here due to short attention spans. We're trying to appease that audience as well. And we'll do a part two. Stay tuned.